Hey everybody, Anthony 4x4 Diesel. Another video in regards to tow bars and towing for a bit of safety, a bit of information for people, because we do see way too many trailers out there on the roads that are dangerous, moving around way too much with minimal movement due to the bad setup. So I think back to basics for a minute, we need to consider the vehicle on the left, no tow bar, the vehicle on the right has a tow bar. Now, originally, when vehicles were manufactured, do you think the manufacturer even had a plan of a tow bar and this vehicle is designed for towing? Well, the obvious answer is no. I mean, the motor vehicle was the motor vehicle and that's that. Somebody else had an idea to put a hitch on the back, you know, hitches, removable hitches, all sorts of different weird things a couple hundred years ago, up until today. Now, if we even think back a few decades, let's go back, let's go 30 or 40 years, you know, when we had the, let's go, here we go, Holden Kingswood, Holden Tiranas, you know, Holden Commodores, Ford Falcons, mate. You know, let's go back to the, let's just go to say XA, XB, XC Falcons. Do you think Ford and Holden, when they were making cars in Australia, actually went, we're making a tow vehicle? No, they just made a family car and, you know, somebody else had the idea of manufacturing and bolting tow bars on the back. Happy days, right? So they probably sort of went along with that, you know. A lot of assumptions here. I haven't spoken to them and those people back then. But, you know, they probably just said, yep, no worries. And they probably had to put some sort of towing capacity on it. And over the years, with all the safety and OH&S, you know, things have probably got a bit tighter. Now, so the first thought I'm trying to get in your head is, the vehicle wasn't built for towing. It was an aftermarket idea, right, as you can see. And of course, the manufacturers are going to go, well, we can supply a tow bar. I mean, maybe some considerations, but there's nothing that I can see as a vehicle technician in vehicles over the last, 50 years that I could say, well, this has definitely been done and changed and better for towing. And they've really built this one to suit towing. Like, any vehicles come out with a heavy suspension pack, particularly in the rear to take that weight. Any extra chassis strengthening or anything like that. No, it's just standard how it is, and the tow bar gets bolted on the back. So that's the first thing. And it's definitely a lot more dangerous to be towing something than to not be towing something, regardless of the weight. So that's another important factor. Let's move on to towing capacities. How do they work out the towing capacity? 750 kilos, 1500 kilos, 2000. This can tow 3 ton. This can tow 3.5 ton. And why can the older Prados only tow 2.5 ton and a 300 series tow? Sorry, the older Prados tow 2.5 ton, is that what I said? And the newer Prados, like the 300 series, can tow 3.5 ton, where the vehicle's really about the same size. Because if you thought it's engine power, well, you know what? I think they just roll the dice, to be quite honest. Think about it. Some people say, oh, would you believe, you can get 10-ton towing on some Isuzu truck, I'm just making things up here, and it's only got a 3-litre engine. Well, my point is, towing capacity isn't and shouldn't be made up of engine size or engine power. The engine's really got little to do with it. I mean, it is an important factor because you should be able to have an engine powerful enough and with enough torque that you can maintain speed on the road to blend in and work at a safe speed with all the other road users. When you're too slow and you're driving slowly or you haven't got a vehicle that can handle it, then it can cause some problems. But that's not what it's all about. What it's all about is safety, braking, stopping distances, and maneuverability. That's that vehicle being able to control what's behind it. And if you think there's any way that a less than 3-ton vehicle towing 3.5 tons in control, you are living in a dream world. So why is it that tow capacities have gone so high? So we're looking at the vehicles over the last 20 years, and they've gone from, like I said, about 2.5 ton was a pretty high towing capacity. You're towing something big if you're towing 2.5 ton, I can tell you. I've towed plenty of different things over my 5 decades, and well, maybe only over 4 decades of 5 decades, but I can tell you about all the different weights, braked, unbraked, good setups, bad setups, where someone, puts a car on a trailer, they say it's good to go, and I've driven down the road and I've gone, no, it's not good to go, and I pull over, get out and fix it up, move it forward, re-tie it down, because again, they got it wrong, and it's safety, and you've got to pick that up early, otherwise it's going to be bad news. You're going to be one of those cars driving down the highway, and you're going to end up in the bushes on the medium strip lucky if you're alive. And there is a lot of people that luckily, they just skid out, they don't roll, and they are alive, very luckily. And lucky they don't kill other people. So it's definitely a very serious consideration. So in front of us here, a couple of Prados, I know, one of them. I don't even know the tow capacity, to be quite honest. I think this one over here, I think it's probably only allowed to tow 2.5 tonne. It's a 150 Prado, just like the 120 Prado. I would say in my mind, that is an absolute maximum sort of weight you should be towing with any vehicle, anything like this. And we'll talk about some of the changes you would have to make to the vehicle to make it safer in a moment. But this one in front of me, as I understand it, with this Hayman Reese tow bar, Hayman Reese tow hitch, it has a 3 tonne towing capacity, okay? Regardless of whatever brand of tow bar, whatever the tow bar manufacturer and the car manufacturer wants to say, they put that number on it. They're the engineers, they're the experts, then that's what gets, that's the tick, and that's what you can get away with. Now, so what makes this vehicle safer to tow than this one here, 2.5 tonne to 3 tonne? Now, I could have it wrong. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. 2013 LC 150 Land Cruiser 150 Prado in Australia. 2022. This has the 1KD FTV engine, 3-litre engine over here. This has the smaller 2755cc 4-cylinder engine. Okay. What's the difference? What's the difference? What's the difference? Well, there's no difference, okay? So the vehicle's the same, the brakes are the same, the suspension's the same, everything's the same. The only difference is, and the evidence is really here in front of us, is the manufacturers having a competition. For years it's been a power competition. It's just like the Holden Ford, how it was for the recent decades, and they've all canned all that. That's another story, but anyway, that's a whole nother video, isn't it? You know what I mean, right? Power competition. We've got two 15 kilowatts. We've got two, what was it? I don't know, whatever, right? 250, we've got 280, we've got 290, we've got 310, we've got 3... It's like a bloody auction, mate. How much power... It's the same with towing capacities, right? Because the more power you got, or the bigger towing capacity, or what it is now is how big's your touch screen, mate? You get Apple CarPlay, how many USB outlets, how many are in the back? It's a bit like that, right? So, hope you had a bit of a laugh, but it's a serious thing here, right? So, like I said before, towing 2.5 tonne's a serious thing. Why is this one 3 tonne? Well, in my opinion, it shouldn't be. You can get away with it. There's a lot of variable factors, It's that the driving conditions, the setup, the tyres. These off-road tyres, 100% these tyres are a compromise compared to road tyres. Now, if you're going to be towing 3 tonne, okay, with a Prado that they say you could tow 3 tonne, depending on the whole conditions, how far you're going, then you probably should have different tyres because, these are a compromise on the road. You're travelling at speed. You're going to be travelling at 100 Ks. You're going to do the speed limit. You're allowed to do 110. You're allowed to still do, 130 in the Northern Territory, towing your big 3-tonne caravan, or you're going to do 90 Ks. Are you going to speed up in the overtaking lanes and annoy people to speed up to 110 when you get the overtaking lane? Yeah, everybody knows what I mean. And don't worry, I've been around. I know how it works. It's standard operating procedure. People are, I can't say it, annoying. There you go. Yeah, annoying. Right, so the main differences is competition, it seems, between the manufacturers because there's not much changing in the vehicles. They've still got wheels and tyres. They've still got brakes. Brakes are always getting a little bit better over the years, but to the point that they've been to their maximum a long time. What I mean is if you push the brake pedal hard enough, you can lock up your wheels, right? Now, your brakes can't get any better than locking up the wheels because that's not your best, quickest way of stopping. You need to keep traction with the road if the wheels lock up. So the only way to make the brakes better is make the tyres better. So did you think about that, right? Because people go, better brakes, and they talk about all these brake upgrades. All it's going to do, it might give you a better pedal feel, less pedal pressure till it locks up, or more pedal, more bite from the pads to the rotors, that sort of thing. So we're moving on to brakes a little bit here. So I didn't really want to do that, but I hope you understand what I mean. So one of the biggest things is the weight of the vehicle. Have you heard of the tail wagging the dog? It's meant to be the dog wagging the tail. So just think this through. If you've got a 5-tonne vehicle, right, and you're towing, and don't say, well, how come with trucks, prime movers, trailers? Well, there you go. There's a perfect example of it. It's just absolutely dangerous. Hopefully they're safe drivers. Stay out of their way. Stop changing lanes, jumping in front of them and doing stupid things because you're gonna cop it one day or someone is, right? So that's the other problem on the roads. if people would just stop and think and just work together, helping each other, like this Prado community, Hilux community, 4x4s, diesels, petrols, whatever you've got, let's just work together and help each other out instead of trying to upset each other and drive around like fools. There you go, see, different word. So, right, so you want a heavy vehicle and you want what you're towing to be lighter. So if you've got a 3.5 ton 300 series Land Cruiser and you're towing 2.5 ton, that's pretty good, okay? Now the overall weight, obviously the vehicle needs to stop it. That's why you have trailer brakes, electric trailer brakes, and you make sure it's all working and set up correctly is very important. But something like that would work. But when you've got 2.5 ton towing 3.5 ton, well, you might have your trailer brakes and all that, but it's not just about straight line stopping, right? You know, sometimes you need to go around corners, bad road surfaces, potholes, you know, wet roads, you come around a bend. You know, sometimes you're driving, it's raining, and then all of a sudden it's dry, and vice versa. Some areas it rains, it doesn't. So you're cruising along at 100 k's around a bend, it said 80 or 90, but, you know, excuse me, the road's dry. You know, so you're cruising around, you get around the bend and it's soaking wet because that's just where the edge of the rain finished. And then you're a bit, woo, whatever, right? So the point is, it's obvious. You want the dog wagging the tail, not the tail wagging the dog. That's what I want you to have a think about. Regardless of what these tow capacities are, keep it smart. Don't be just going out to the maximum. Your maximum is always going to be, it's going to end up heavier. There's going to be water, fuel, supplies, food, all the things you put into that boat or caravan or whatever it is. So key points here. Cars weren't built for tow bars. It was an add-on accessory. The only reason they've got the higher capacities is competition. And the main thing is, it seems to be, some people think it's engine power. So look at engine power, they go, oh, I'll get the 300 because it can tow. It's not because the engine can pull it. It's about the weight of the vehicle, the control and the braking and handling. Now, as promised earlier on, if you waited to the end, I'm going to give you my tips for what I would do if I had to tow. If I had to use this Prado that can tow 3 ton or a 300 series that can tow 3.5 ton to tow a 3 or 3.5 ton caravan, how I would set it up. If I said, okay, I'm going around Australia, I've retired, got to get this big caravan with everything, including the kitchen sink, and you never know, I might do that one day. My setup will be as follows. I won't be concerned about off-road tyres. I've got a caravan. I'm not going to take it out off-road on rough tracks and destroy it because it's just not fun. Things full of dust, broken, doors falling off. And some people go, oh no, you can get a good caravan and all that. Look, I've seen it, been there, done that. Trust me, things fall apart. Maybe there's some quality out there, but you know what? You do your touring in a vehicle like this without a tow bar, you take your tent, and then when you get older, you just relax, you've been there, done that, right? This is how I think anyway. So I could be wrong. Put in the comments your own personal opinion. But this vehicle, I'm not going to raise the suspension. I'm going to put in heavy duty springs, something very similar to what's in this vehicle at the moment, actually. Yes, so what you don't want when you're going to be towing, you don't want to modify the suspension and raise the vehicle up 2 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches, or anything. You want to keep it as low and firm as possible and controlled. So you want to have some great on-road tyres, not off-road tyres. All right, so it could be the stock tyres. There could be something better to that. Whatever is going to grip the road best in the dry and wet conditions on the blacktop, because that's where you're going to be most of the time, correct? You can still go on dirt roads. You still probably won't get a puncture, but you've still got a spare if you do. That's going to be your most safety because you compromise the rest of the time. Even if you're going to take the vehicle and do a few tracks and whatever, this is what you've got to consider. When you raise the vehicle, you're going to give yourself clearance so you don't scrape underneath. That's great. But when you raise the vehicle, you raise the roll factor, center of gravity, the handling of the vehicle. The springs the vehicle comes with is quite soft. So if you go ahead and add your bull bar, because it's probably not a bad idea if you insist on traveling at night, which I don't know why you do that when you're retired, but anyway, because you're adding some weight to the vehicle, and I sort of don't mind adding a bit of weight to the vehicle, but I want to have it low and firm. So what this vehicle's got in it is some firmer springs, what I call towing springs. So we've got that available in the Dobinson's kit as well. At the moment, this has got probably about a 35 mil lift at the front and around about 40, 45 at the rear, something like that. So it is still lifted, but my point is short and firm. So what you would do, you would have a look at the vehicle, you would say, okay, this is the height it's at. You would source a spring that is firmer. that's not making it uncomfortable. Remember, you're going to use the vehicle for majority towing, so it's not going to be uncomfortable because you're going to have this weight go on the back, the tow bar on the back of the vehicle. So you would then calculate your towing, what your tow ball load is. Let's just say it's 200 kilos or something for the exercise. And then you would get some springs that when 200 kilos was on the back of it, it would still hold the vehicle at the standard height, even with all that weight on there and the weight in the back. So then you're still sitting at a great height. A nice firm spring will help hold it there. And of course, some nice controlled shock absorbers, maybe some adjustable Dobinsons for that setup so that you can back them off when you're not towing, and you can give them a couple clicks when you're towing, firm them up a little bit. That's going to keep the vehicle suspended, because the last thing you want is a boaty, rocky, sideways, you get what I mean, sort of washing machine type loose suspension, because you're overloaded with weight. You've got these long springs for a lift that are softer to give you flex, and the thing just bounces around and you're up high and you've got more body roll, and you know what I mean? So low and firm. So you want great tyres to grip it to the road. You want low, firm suspension, okay? And you're going to get a bit of a rougher ride if it's not adjustable. The rough ride isn't from the springs, it's going to be from the shock absorbers that aren't adjustable. The Dobinsons actually ride really well. I'm telling you now, those monotubes, even without the adjustment with the heavier spring, works really well. If you're still listening to the people with the Prados, the springs I'm talking about in the back is the 329s is the lifted option. 20 mil shorter is the 507, and 40 mil shorter is the 665. They're the two other towing springs that we've got available and making use of. So whether that helps you or whether you want to get a kit from me, and weekdays, probably Tuesday mornings, 8 a.m, send me a text. Hey, I want a suspension kit for my Prado. We can work out the right options for you. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bada bing, bada boom. Catch you on the next one. See ya. Hopefully it helps a few people safety-wise, yeah?